Hello, football fans. We are ready for NFL picks for week number 11 in the league where they play for Penn. Let's get right to it. Rolling right along. Week 11, the season just flying by as usual. All right, we got 4 teams with a bye this week. Green Bay on a bye, they're up to 8-2, hung on and beat Carolina. Giants on a bye, they're down to 2-8, they lost to the Jets. Seattle on a bye, they beat San Francisco in a great game last night, so Seattle's up to 8-2, pulling out all the close games. That was a tremendous football game last night, you had it all. And Tennessee on a bye, they're up to 5-5, had a nice win against Kansas City. Tennessee, believe it or not, is right there for the playoff picture, and Tannehill has definitely given them a lift. Tannehill was definitely the right choice as far as quarterback. Mariota could be a bust. All right, so those are your teams on a bye. Let's get to NFL picks for week number 11. Let's start in Oakland. The Oakland Alameda County Coliseum, with the Oakland Raiders. Chucky! The Grim Reaper. Vader. The Gorilla. And all those wacky fans in the black hole will be out in full force with the Oakland Raiders, a -10 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Raiders up to 5-4. They beat the Chargers on Thursday Night Football in a very good game. How about Gruden at the end of the game? I love when the Raiders win at home and Gruden goes to the black hole and he's shaking hands with everybody. He's diving in the crowd with them. Great stuff by Gruden. Raiders really putting some things together. They're right there for the playoffs. They're right there for the division because Kansas City is falling back. So the Raiders doing some nice things. And then you got the Bengals. 0-9, bombed by Baltimore. The Bengals are now playing as bad as the Dolphins did in the beginning of the season. I mean, it's funny how football works. Week 1, Cincinnati almost went into Seattle and won. Could have easily won that game, and here we are all these weeks later, and Cincinnati still hasn't won a game, and Seattle keeps pulling out the close games, and they're 8-2. Unbelievable how the NFL works. As far as this game, listen, this is a perfect 3-team teaser game. You get 9 points, you move it down to 1. You have to like the Raiders. You can't like the Bengals. They got nothing going on. They're getting bombed every week. They look like they've checked out. They're looking at that number 1 pick, Cincinnati Raiders. You can't go any other way. No matter how you play this game, you have to go Raiders. You can't like the Bengals in this game. That's pick number 1. Pick number 2. Let's go to Minnesota, where the Minnesota Vikings are -10 against the Denver Broncos. Denver 3-6 coming off a bye. Minnesota up to 7-3. Had the nice road win in Dallas. Nice job by the Vikings. They got some things cooking on offense. Cousins played well. Defense didn't play great, but they did make the stop at the end. That was a nice, solid road win for the Vikings. They're still a game back of Green Bay for the division. They play Green Bay one more time. I believe that game is in Minnesota. So Minnesota, nice job beating Dallas. Again, like the first game. A perfect 3-team teaser game. If you're going 3-team teasers this week, you get 9 points. You got to like the first 2 games, Oakland and Minnesota. You move this line to 1. You have to think Minnesota is going to overwhelm Denver at home in that dome. I mean, Denver, who is Flacco even playing? Even if he does, you're not going to get much from Denver. You're not going to get much from them. Minnesota is definitely the way to go in this game, just like Oakland. To me, 3-team teaser game. Use Oakland and Minnesota. Pick another team. You have to like Minnesota here. You can't like Denver. That's pick number 2. Pick number 3. Let's go out to Santa Clara, where the San Francisco 49ers are -13.5 over the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona lost to Tampa Bay, so Arizona's down to 3-6-1. They have been competitive this year, Arizona. The quarterback does look like he has some possibilities. I thought they'd be a complete disaster this year. They've been better than I thought. They've been very competitive this year, Arizona. San Francisco, they finally take their first loss. They go down 8-1, lost the tough game to Seattle last night. That game had it all. That was a football game. You had it all. Drama, lead changes, missed field goals, turnovers, this. You had it all in that football game last night. That was a football game. San Francisco drops 8-1. They are now only I guess a half a game ahead of Seattle. And remember, they play one more time this year out in Seattle. By the way, Stephen A. Smith's got to knock off constantly harping on Garoppolo. Listen, we know Garoppolo is not Rodgers. We know he's not Tom Brady. We know he's not a Hall of Fame great quarterback. But the way Stephen A. Smith is harping on him all the time. The Niners are 8-1. They were atrocious last year. Garoppolo is coming off a serious knee injury where he was out the whole year last year. He doesn't have that much experience in the NFL to begin with. The team is 8-1 and has the best record in the NFL. He is the quarterback. Calm down, Stephen A. Smith. He's constantly saying Garoppolo's the weak link, and he's this, and he's that, and it's all negative all the time. Garoppolo didn't play well last night. I get it. And remember, they had a couple injuries. The tight end was hurt. Sanders went out. So there were reasons, why he didn't play well last night. But and then Clowney was in the backfield every time you turned around, so he was disrupting the game too. But to constantly harp on Garoppolo, I mean, come on, the Niners were atrocious last year. Give them a little credit. They do have the best record in the NFL. They lost their first game last night, a game they could have won, by the way. And I mean, who does Stephen A. Smith want to quarterback San Francisco? Who does he want? Johnny Unitas? Dan Marino? Who does he want? Rodgers? Roethlisberger? I mean, come on, Stephen A. Smith. And I know Garoppolo didn't play well last night. And I know he's not great. And I know he's not a Hall of Famer. But give him a little credit. The team is 8-1. This team was a disaster last year. Give him a little credit. Stephen A. Smith is just harping on him all the time. I mean, calm down, Stephen A. Smith. Just calm down. As far as this game, I'm going to go 14 teaser in this game. 12 points. Move it down to 1.5 and take San Francisco. I think they'll be very angry they lost that tough game to Seattle. They're going to rebound at home. Just beat Arizona a couple weeks ago. Hopefully they get some of these injured players back on the field. There is a case to go the other way here at Arizona if you're doing a 14 teaser. You can get 25.5 points. There is a case for that. But to me, I think the Niners are going to rebound, and they're not going to lose 2 games in a row at home. So I like the Niners here to bounce back. That would be a 14 teaser game if you had to play it. That would be pick number 3. Pick number 4, let's go to Philadelphia. Very good game here this week. There's not that many great games this week, but the next 2 I'm going to touch on are probably the must-watch games of the weekend. The New England Patriots are -3.5 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles coming off a bye. They are 5-4. They are now tied with the Cowboys for first place. Cowboys right now have the tiebreaker. They play one more time, I believe, in Philadelphia. New England 8-1 coming off the bye, coming off their first loss to Baltimore. I'm going to move the line to 9.5 here and take the Eagles. I think this game is going to be very close. I think it's a must-watch game. I think it's a field goal game either way. Philly has the home field. I think this is just a very, very good game. So if I can get 9.5 points with the Eagles at home, I know, listen, I never like going against the Patriots, and I wouldn't use a lot of money on this game. But if I had to play it, 9.5 Philly 2-team teaser, that's the way to go in that game. One of the must-watch games of the weekend for sure, and there's not many this weekend. Pick number 5, this is another must-watch game. Let's go to Baltimore with the red-hot Baltimore Ravens on -4.5 against the Houston Texans. Both of these teams are in first place. Texans 6-3 coming off the bye. Baltimore up to 7-2, beats Cincinnati. Baltimore's rolling right now. The quarterback's doing a lot of good things, Jackson. He's flying around making plays. This is a very good game. Again, like the last game, I think it'll be close. I think it will come down to the wire. So two-team teaser to me. Move the line to 10.5 and take the Texans. You have to think this is coming right down to the end. You know Watson, he seems to always be in these games where it's coming right down to the wire and he has the ball. Should be one of those type of games again. Very, very good game. New England, Philly, Baltimore, Houston. Those are the games to watch this week. I'll take the Texans in a two-team teaser. Move it to 10.5 and go that way. That's pick number 5. Pick number 6, this is the Sunday night football game. Let's go out to Los Angeles with the LA Rams on minus 7.5 against the Chicago Bears. Rams down to 5-4, lost to Pittsburgh. Rams, what's going on with them? Offensive line, not good at all. Rams have a Super Bowl hangover. They are not nearly the team they were last year, and they are in big trouble because that division is loaded. San Francisco, Seattle. Rams are going to have a tough time just making the playoffs this year. Chicago, they got to win. They're up to 4-5. Beat Detroit. Of course, Stafford was out in that game, but Chicago did finally get the win. This is a bizarre game. I'm going to move the line to 13.5 and take Chicago. I saw what the Steelers' defense did to that Ram offensive line. I think Chicago can cause enough chaos with their defense to at least keep the game close. The Rams haven't been, great this year at all. So to think they're going to blow out anyone, I would totally disagree with that. So I'm going to move the line 13.5, say Chicago hangs in the game with their defense. I think they'll make enough plays on defense. I think they'll disrupt that Ram very poor offensive line. The defense will at least keep them in the game. Not saying they're going to win, but I think the defense will keep them in. Like I said, I saw what the Steelers did last week to the Rams. They ate up the Rams offensive line. Rams have huge issues on the offensive line. When you got huge issues on the offensive line, your offense is in trouble. So I think the Bears' defense will cause enough havoc there to keep the game close at least. So I'll move that line to 13.5 and a two-team teaser. That's pick number 6. Pick number 7. This is the Monday night game from Mexico with the Kansas City Chiefs on minus 4.5 against the LA Chargers. Chiefs down to 6-4, lost a heartbreaker to Tennessee. Listen, they got Mahomes back. We know the offense is great. I've been saying this for a month now. Their defense stinks. And now they lost their sack leader for the year. Their defense stinks, Kansas City. It stinks. It smells. It's not good enough. It's not championship defense. It's going to come back to kill them in a big spot. Right now, the Chiefs are a half a game ahead of the Oakland Raiders. Just think about that. Did we ever think that was possible at the beginning of the year? The Chiefs' defense stinks. They stink, and they let Tennessee waltz down the field and steal that game. And another thing, I'm sick of ESPN with all their graphics and, that analytics, and, the Chiefs had a 99% chance to win that game with, a minute and a half left. Enough of those analytics and all that nonsense. I don't need to see that. I don't need to see that Tennessee had a less than 1% chance to win that game with 2 minutes to go. Those are useless stats. I hate when ESPN does that. Oh my goodness, this team's got a 56.7% chance of winning the game. Enough! Enough! We don't need to hear that. They did that last week. Oh my goodness. This team has a 63.8% chance of winning. What? What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Oh my goodness, enough with that already. And the Chief defense just stinks. It smells. As far as the Chargers, they're down to 4-6, lost a tough game to the Raiders. I think the Chargers have lost 6 games this year by, under a touchdown. Typical Chargers. I'm going to move the line to 10.5, and I'm going to take the Chargers in this game because I think the Chief defense stinks. The Chargers are in nothing but close games. I think the fan base will be even down there. It should be a wild scene. I think both teams will be up for this game. I'm going to move it to 10.5. It's a big divisional game. Chargers, basically, this is a must-win for them. If they have any hopes of getting back in this, they win this game. They're up to 5-6. Chiefs all of a sudden down to 6-5. They're kind of right there, depending on what the Raiders do and stuff. Chargers have to have this game. I'll move it to 10.5. Think it's at least close. That's pick number 7. Pick number 8. My bags are packed. My bags are packed. And it always seems the Jets are involved when I'm going on these road trips. Let's go down to Washington, D.C., where I'll be Amtrakking it from New York to D.C., the Acela line on Amtrak. My bags are packed. Where Washington is minus 1.5 against the New York Football Jets. Jets actually won last week. They win the Battle of New York. They're up to 2-7, beat the Giants. Washington 1-8 off a bye. They're going to go with the young rookie quarterback the rest of the way. My bags are packed. Who's with me on Amtrak? New York to DC, Excella Amtrak. We're sitting in the business section. Couple hours down to DC. We're going to look at the monuments. We're going to go meet Trump. We're going to see all the sights down there in D.C. And then we're going to Washington and the Jets. Oh, yeah! Woo! And I'm sorry to pick on the Jets. I know they won last week, but come on, Washington and the New York Jets. Wow. But we're going, and we're going to see all the sights. We're going to check out the White House and the Pentagon and the Abe Lincoln Memorial, the Vietnam Memorial. We're going to go have lunch with Donald Trump. And then we're going to see Washington and the New York Jets. Yeah! Oh, yeah! We may even get lucky and get the chance to meet Daniel Snyder. Oh, yeah! All right, as far as this game, I'm moving it to 7.5 and a 2-team teaser and taking the Jets. On general principle, they have the goal to make Washington favored in this game. I mean, are you kidding me? On general principle, I'm taking the Jets and moving the line. Whoever was favored in this game, I'm moving the line the other way and taking the underdog. Washington at 1-8 is favored? I mean, get real. Get real. This is a slop bowl. This is a stink bomb. This has got 13-10 written all over it. But don't worry, we're going to enjoy it anyway. New York to D.C., Amtrak, Excella. We're going to hit the monuments. We're going to hit the sights. We're going to have lunch with Trump. Hopefully we can meet the Washington owner. And then we're sitting field level for Washington and the Jets. Oh, yeah. Jets is pick number 8. 2-team teaser plus 7.5. Pick number 9. Let's go to the Motor City in Detroit. How about them Cowboys? With the Dallas Cowboys, a -4 against the Detroit Lions. Detroit down to 3-5-1, lost to Chicago. Stafford sits out finally. Detroit falling to pieces again. What else is new? They're in last place. They should have won that Green Bay weeks ago. They could have won the Chief game, coughed that game up. And here the Lions are at 3-5-1 in last place. And I got to look at Patricia with that pencil in his ear telling me the Lions are going to be the next New England Patriots. Whatever. And then you got the Dallas Cowboys. Lost to Minnesota. Dallas down to 5-4. They are now tied with the Eagles. Defense got carved up. Didn't like the play calling at the end. I know why you keep giving the ball to Elliott at the end when he had a bad game. Get the ball to your wideouts like Cooper. And by the way, who said Cooper wasn't a number 1 receiver? Cooper is a legitimate number 1 receiver. And I said this when Dallas got him last year. And a lot of people, including Terry Bradshaw, said he was not a number 1. He's a number 1. Bad play calling by Dallas. I never liked Garrett as a coach. I've been saying that for years. He just doesn't fit as the Dallas Cowboy coach. He's more of a coordinator. Dallas needs a big-time personality like a Jimmy Johnson or a Bill Parcells or someone like that. Jason Garrett? Nah. So Dallas loses. It's hard to believe Dallas is 5-4. You know, it's funny when you look around the league. Dallas is 5-4. The Steelers are 5-4. Now, would you ever think those two teams would have the same record? I mean, at this point in the year, Roethlisberger out. Steelers couldn't get out of their way. Now they've won 4 in a row. Have the same record as Dallas. Tennessee is 5-5. They're a half game behind Dallas as far as, overall record. And you think Dallas is like a Super Bowl contender, and you think Tennessee stinks. That's how funny the NFL is, and I always tell you this. It's a 16-game season, but there's a lot of twists and turns in that 16 games, up and down and all around. As far as this game, getting back on track, you know me, I like to drift off, but Dallas, -4 in Detroit. Listen to me, I'm going money line here, and I'm taking Dallas. Dallas has to respond here, and I don't like Detroit. We don't even know about Stafford. He may not even play. If he does, he's playing with broken bones in his back. Detroit's got all sorts of injuries. They're falling to pieces. There'll be plenty of Dallas fans in the house. You have to think Dallas is going to respond here and win. Dallas money line here. Show me something, Dallas. 5-4 is not good enough for the amount of talent that you have. And you talk a big game. Show me something this week. I like Dallas How about them Cowboys? That's pick number 9. Pick number 10. Let's go down to South Florida. South Beach. With Buffalo Bills, a -6.5 against the Miami Dolphins. Buffalo down to 6-3, lost a tough game to Cleveland at the end. Miami up to 2-7, beat the Colts. How about the Dolphins? 1-2 in a row, and they are competing. They are competing. Give them credit for that. The beginning of the year, we thought the Dolphins were going to lose every game 60-0. They have actually covered, like the last month, most of their games, if not all of them. They've been in most of their games, and they've won a couple. Now, I know Dolphin fans are saying, oh, no. Now we've won a couple games. We're not going to get the number 1 pick. We're not going to get Tua. Here's the thing, Dolphin fans. There are some good quarterbacks besides Tua in the draft. I know you wanted Tua, Burrow from LSU, the young kid from Oregon. There's other quarterbacks in the draft. You're going to get one of them. So give the Dolphins credit for at least competing. I actually think the Bengals now look worse than the Dolphins, and I would have never said that after week 1. First time these two teams played, this game was close for 3 quarters. As a matter of fact, Miami was winning for 3 quarters and driving before they turned the ball over. Kind of got the game going in Buffalo's favor. Buffalo, I think, won by 14, got a touchdown late. I think this game is going to be close. I think it's going to be closer than people think. I'm going to move the line to 12.5 and take the Dolphins. Home, Dolphins are competing, division rival. The first game was close. No reason why this game can't be close. And you know Buffalo, very close games, defensive games. They don't score a lot of points. They play good defense. You know how Buffalo plays. I think Miami can hang in the game. I'm not saying they're going to win. I think they can hang in the game. I'm going to move it to 12.5. Take a chance with the Dolphins. They've been showing me something the last few weeks. I'll go that way. That's pick number 10. Pick number 11. Let's go to Indianapolis, and you don't know what you're getting here. With the Indianapolis Colts a -3 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville 4-5, coming off a bye, coming off that dreadful performance in London where they just stunk up England. Now Foles probably will be the quarterback. Then you got the Colts. They're down to 5-4. They're now out of first place. Lost to Miami. Who knows about Brissett? He's hurt. Hoyer stinks. Hilton's still banged up. This is a mess of epic proportions. You don't know what you're getting in this. I would stay away from this game. If I had to play it, move it to 9 and take Jacksonville in a 2-team teaser. But this is a game you might want to stay away from altogether. That division is wacky. I told you that at the beginning of the year. This game, you got all sorts of moving parts. Quarterbacks hurt, in, out, injuries. You don't know what you're getting here. You really don't. If I had to play it, move it to 9, take Jacksonville in a 2-team teaser. That's pick number 11. Pick number 12. Let's go down to Carolina. With the Carolina Panthers a -6.5 against the Atlanta Falcons. Carolina down to 5-4. Lost a tough game to Green Bay. Newton looks like he'll be out the rest of the year. Atlanta up to 2-7. Beat New Orleans in the shocker of the year. I was absolutely floored by this game. Floored. I was stunned. And listen, I know it's a big division rival. These two teams don't like each other. I understand all that. But New Orleans was 7-1, had won 6 in a row. Atlanta was 1-7 and had lost 6 in a row and looked lifeless. They were even trading people away. They traded Sanu away. They want to trade people away. They basically given up on the year. As far as, they were looking to unload people. Matt Ryan was hurt a couple weeks ago. He did come back for this game. I was floored by this game. Not only did Atlanta go into New Orleans and win, they won going away 26-9, and New Orleans never rallied. You figured New Orleans at some point is going to make a game of it. If you tell me they lost 26-23 and they came back, okay. They never made a game of it. They couldn't get in the end zone against one of the worst defenses in football. Terrible job by New Orleans, and I'll get to them later. But listen, give Atlanta credit, because their season's long gone, and they showed up and played. They played a professional game in that game. New Orleans did not. So I'll give the Falcons credit, and I've been hammering the Falcons all year. They came to play, and they put on a professional effort. New Orleans did not, and I'll touch on them in a second. As far as this game, listen, I know you're tempted to move the game to 12.5 and take Atlanta. There is a case for that after last week. Atlanta's got to show me this isn't a one-hit wonder. So to me, I'm going to move the line to pick them and take Carolina to win the game. I think Carolina's going to respond at home. Remember a couple weeks ago, Carolina got plastered by San Francisco, came back home and beat Tennessee. Now they lose a tough game at Green Bay. I think they're going to come back and play better this week and respond. And Atlanta's got to show me that just wasn't a one-hit wonder. Can they do that 2 weeks in a row? And listen, if you like Atlanta off last week with 12.5, I couldn't argue with you. They played a very good game. If I had to play this game, I'm saying Carolina's going to win it, so I'd move it to pick 'em in a two-team teaser because I think Carolina's going to respond at home. This is a monster game for Carolina. 5-4, you really have to start putting some wins together now. So I think Carolina's going to come home, respond like they did 2 weeks ago when they beat Tennessee at home off a loss. But Atlanta, they showed me something last week. I have to give them credit for that. It's a strange game. You can see it going either way, but that's the way I would play that game. That's pick number 12. Pick number 13. Speaking of New Orleans, let's go down to Tampa Bay with the New Orleans Saints on -5 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay up to 3-6, beat Arizona. Boy, Tampa Bay would love to have some of those close losses back at the end of the year. They should have beat the Giants. Could have beat the Seahawks. They lost both of them, and here they are 3-6. They're another bizarro team, Tampa Bay. They can get some things done on offense when they don't turn the ball over, but they give up a lot of points. Did beat Arizona, so give them credit for that. And then you got New Orleans, who I just mentioned, down to 7-2, lost to Atlanta. Who dat? Who dat? I mean, what a pitiful, just awful, unprofessional effort by the New Orleans Saints. Absolutely unprofessional. And all I hear from Aikman and Aaron Andrews is how Sean Payton is the best coach at getting his team ready to play. And that might be the case most times. It wasn't the case on Sunday. They had 2 weeks to prepare for a 1-7 Atlanta team, and they didn't show up. Gutless, pathetic performance. You look at the stats of this game, you figure New Orleans turned the ball over 1,000,000 times. They didn't turn the ball over at all. As a matter of fact, they won the turnover battle +1. Still lost 26-9 in their building. Had more passing yards by like 100 than Atlanta. How'd they lose the game? I'll tell you. First of all, they couldn't stop Atlanta's rushing attack. Atlanta had like 160 yards rushing. New Orleans had about 40 yards rushing because Kamara obviously is still banged up. They said he was healthy. He carried the ball 4 times. Didn't see him the rest of the day. Obviously, he's still hurt. And then they committed 12 penalties, New Orleans. And on top of that, they gave up 7 sacks, I think. I think Atlanta came into the season for the whole year having 7 sacks. And I think they had 6 or 7 sacks in this game alone. They matched their season total in one game against supposedly one of the best teams in football. Ouch! I was shocked. To me, that was the most shocking game of the year. Even worse than Dallas and the Jets, because Dallas was on the road and Dallas did rally late. New Orleans never rallied in this game. Never did anything in the second half. The game kept getting worse and worse. 29, 23-9, 26-9. And I'm like, is New Orleans ever going to rally in this game? They didn't. 9 points at home to Atlanta? Atlanta gave up points to everybody this year. Everybody this year. New Orleans was playing some good defense. They didn't show up in this game. For 2 weeks when they were on their bye, they were taking bouquets for those 2 weeks. Oh, we're great. We're the Saints. We're 7-1. We got Drew Brees back. Oh, we got Atlanta in 2 weeks. That's nothing. That's not even a big game. We don't even have to practice hard. Oh, this is an easy game. No worries. No sweat. They came out flat. Terrible job by the Saints. The Saints have something to prove this year. They feel like they were, got jobbed last year with the bad call. 2 years ago, they lose that heartbreaker to Minnesota. The Saints had something to prove this year. And they could still get it done, but this was a bad loss. And if they don't have home field advantage in the playoffs and they have to go on the road somewhere, you can look back to this particular game. Unprofessional effort by the Saints. Deplorable effort. Sean Payton did a lousy job getting his team ready, and I like Sean Payton. Couldn't stop the run. 12 penalties, giving sacks up every which way. And I don't want to hear all the people saying Bridgewater should now start over Drew Brees. That's not going to happen, folks. Calm down. Oh, my, that was a pitiful, ugly display in the Superdome. In the Superdome, they lost 26-9 to 1-7 Atlanta. Unacceptable. Unacceptable, New Orleans. As far as this game, again, this is kind of like the Carolina game. If you wanted to move the line to 11 and take Tampa Bay off of last week, I could see that. To me, like Carolina, I think New Orleans is going to respond. I would hope they would respond. So I think if you're moving it to pick 'em or you're playing money line, you take New Orleans. New Orleans, they got to show me something this week. If they come out flat and lose again this week, that's danger time. And I don't want to sound overly dramatic. They really need to respond. If you heard Sean Payton in the postgame, he said they couldn't beat anyone last week. They really need to come out flying this week. And I'll tell you, that Kamara injury, what's going on with him? And they said he was healthy. He carried the ball 4 times. 4 times. They got outrushed like 160-40 by Atlanta. Atlanta's back was out. Freeman was out. Oh, my goodness. That's the thing about this league. You have to show up. If you don't, that's what you get. I'm guessing New Orleans will respond and show up this week. So I think they're going to win the game. Show me something, New Orleans. You're a contender. You've lost 2 heartbreakers the last 2 years in the playoffs. You feel like you got robbed last year. Show me that you can beat 3-6 Tampa Bay. I would hope you can do that. That's pick number 13. Who dat? Pick number 14. This is the dreaded Thursday night game where the Cleveland Browns are -3 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cleveland up to 3-6 beat Buffalo. Cleveland finally got a win. How about Pittsburgh? 5-4 beat the Rams. They've won 4 straight. Now Pittsburgh has a defense. They couldn't stop anyone for years, and they were an offensive team. Now the defense is playing well, and they're not great on offense. Now listen, Roethlisberger's out. We know that. Receivers, the quarterback out of jail. Connor's been hurt. They're a defensive team now. In the first game of the year, they couldn't get anything done against New England on the defensive side of the ball. Now they have a good, solid defense. They're an interesting team to keep an eye on next year, Pittsburgh, when they get Roethlisberger out back and a couple other guys back from injury. Interesting team if they can keep this defense together, because the defense has really gelled. And listen, that's next year. This year, they're right in the hunt for the playoffs. They're right there with everyone else, really. So I'm going to move the line to 9 and take Pittsburgh here. These two teams have a long history playing good, close games. I think this will be a close game. I'm going to take 9 with Pittsburgh. I think it's going to be low-scoring, hard-hitting, smash-mouth football. Steelers don't give up many points now. The Browns, you got to figure it's going to be close. They can win the game, the Browns. You got to figure it's going to be close. Maybe like the game last week, like Cleveland-Buffalo. Same type of game. I feel comfortable taking Pittsburgh plus 9. That's the way I would go there. So that is your picks for week number 11. Thanks as always for the support. Stay happy, healthy, and safe. Pick a lot of winners. Make a lot of money. I'll talk to you guys next Tuesday. Take care.